Okay, thank you, Ma'am Nurjana. I will share the PPT first.
Okay.
Ya, oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, good afternoon, our honorable lecturer, Ms. Nurjana MPD. Good afternoon, friends. First of all, let us thank God for His blessing so we can attend this presentation today in good condition. Today we are Group 6, will present a topic entitled Beyond Approaches and the Paradigm of Post-Method Era, Learner-Centered Approaches. The presentation will be delivered by me, Esther Suryani Banjarnahor, as a moderator and also as the first presenter, and then Miss Twini Zulia as the second presenter, and then Miss Rahayu Erlina as the third presenter. Okay, without further ado, let us begin the presentation. This section will be explained by me. Okay, on this slide, we will discuss about the evolution of language teaching methods. First, there are traditional methods such as grammar translation method, audio-lingual method or ALM, and direct method. Grammar translation method focuses on grammar rules and translation activities. Audio-lingual method emphasizes repetition and drilling. Meanwhile, the direct method encourages students to use the target language directly without translation. Next, about the communicative era, teaching shifted to communication-focused learning. For example, communicative language teaching or CLT focuses on real communication, while task-based language teaching or TBLT uses meaningful tasks in learning. Okay, next about the post-method era. In this era, there is no single method that is suitable for every classroom. Teachers are encouraged to adapt their teaching strategies based on students' needs, classroom condition, and learning context. Okay, next slide about what is the post-method era. The post-method era is a teaching paradigm that goes beyond fixed teaching methods. It gives teachers more freedom to adapt their teaching practice according to classroom situation and students' needs. There are several important characteristics of the post-method era. First, it promotes flexible teaching. Teachers can combine different techniques and approaches. Second, it is context sensitive, meaning teaching should match the local culture and learning environment. Third, it focuses on learning needs and learning goals. Another characteristic is teacher autonomy. Teachers have the authority to make decisions in the classroom. Lastly, teachers are encouraged to use practical classroom strategies that work effectively for their students. Okay, next about the why did the post-method era emerge? This slide explains why the post-method era emerged. Traditional methods had several limitations. Many methods were considered too rigid because teachers had to follow fixed procedures. In addition, traditional methods often ignore local culture and classroom context. They were also not suitable for all learners because students have different abilities, interests, and learning style. As a result, teachers sometimes become only method followers instead of creative educators. Because of this limitation, there was a need for change. Today's classrooms are more diverse and students have different learning preferences. Technology has also developed rapidly, so teachers need more flexible teaching approaches. Furthermore, modern education encourages learner independence, where students actively participate in their own learning process. Okay, next slide about the learner-centered approach. On this slide, we will discuss learner-centered approaches. Learner-centered approaches focus on students' need, interest, participation, and learning autonomy. In this approach, students are not passive learners anymore. They actively participate in classroom activity and learning process. The teacher's role also changed. Teachers act as facilitators, guide, and motivator rather than the only source of knowledge. Meanwhile, students become active participants, problem solvers, and independent learners. This approach helps students improve communication skills, critical thinking, and confidence in learning English. Okay, I think enough from me. Next, about the characteristic of learner-centered learning will be explained by Miss Twinnie. Miss Twinnie, please.
Thank you, Miss Esther, for the explanation. Good afternoon, Ma'am Dr. Nurjana, and good afternoon, everyone here. My name is Twinnie Zulia, and I will continue this presentation. I will explain about characteristics of learner-centered learning. The first characteristic is students are actively involved in the learning process. They do not only listen to the teacher, but also participate in activities, discussions, and problem solving. The second one is collaboration. Students are encouraged to work together with their classmates through group discussion or project. This helps them develop teamwork and communication skills. And the third characteristic is critical thinking. Students are encouraged to analyze information, solve problems, and express their own ideas rather than only memorizing facts. And the next one is student participation. Learner-centered learning gives students more opportunities to ask questions, share opinions, and take part in classroom activities. Another characteristic is real-life communication. Learning activities are connected to real-life situations, so students can use what they learn in meaningful contexts, especially in communication. And next point is self-assessment. Students learn to evaluate their own progress, recognize their strengths, and identify areas that need improvement. And finally, the personalized learning. Learner-centered learning considers students' different needs, interests, and learning styles, so learning becomes more suitable and effective for each student. The next slide, Miss. The next slide, Miss Esther. Okay, thank you. Now I will explain about some example of learner-centered approaches used in language learning. The first example is communicative language teaching, or CLT. This approach focuses on communication in real-life situations. Students are encouraged to use the target language for meaningful interactions, such as conversation, role plays, or discussions. The goal is to improve student communication skill rather than only learning grammar rules. The second example is test-based learning, or TBL. In this approach, students learn by completing meaningful tasks. For example, students may solve problems, conduct interviews, or complete group activities using the target language. Through this task, students practice language naturally while focusing on achieving a goal. The third example is project-based learning, or PBL. In this approach, students work together to create projects collaboratively. For instance, they may create presentations, posters, videos, or reports. This approach helps students improve teamwork, creativity, and problem-solving skill while learning the language. And the last example is technology-assisted language learning, or TALL. This approach uses digital tools to support learning and make it more interactive and engaging. Some examples include Kahoot and quizzes for fun learning games and quizzes, Duolingo for language practice, and Google Classroom for managing assessment and communication between teacher and student. Okay, in conclusion, these learner-centered approaches encourage students to be more active, independent, and engaged in learning process. Okay, the next slide, Miss. The benefit of learner-centered approaches, both for student and teacher. The first, let's look at the benefit for students. The first benefit is increasing motivation. Since students are actively involved in the learning process, they usually feel more interested and engaged in classroom activities. The second benefit is improving communication skills. Through discussion, group work, and interactive activities, students have more opportunities to express ideas and practice communications. The next benefit is developing critical thinking. Learner-centered learning encourages students to analyze information, solve problems, and think independently rather than only memorizing materials. Another benefit is encouraging autonomy. Students become more independent because they take responsibility for their own learning and evaluate their progress. Okay, now let's move to the benefit for teacher. The first benefit is more flexible teaching. Teacher can use different methods and strategies based on student needs and classroom situation. The second benefit is better classroom interaction. Learner-centered approaches create more communication and collaboration between teacher and student, making the learning environment more active and positively. The last benefit is creative lesson design. Teachers are encouraged to create interesting and engaging learning activities which can make lesson more enjoyable and effective. Okay, the next slide is explanation by Miss Rahayu Erlina.
Okay, thank you for your time, Ms. Lini. Good afternoon, everyone. In this time, I want to explain about the challenges of learner-centered approaches. Challenges of learner-centered approaches. Here's how each of those 5 factors makes it harder to run a learner-centered class. The first one is large class size. Learner-centered learning relies on interaction, discussion, group work, and giving feedback to individuals. The problem is, in a class of 40 to 50 students, you cannot realistically move between groups, listen to every discussion, or check each student's understanding in one lesson. Result, some students get left out, noise levels rise, and the teacher ends up reverting to whole-class lecturing just to keep control. Activities like presentation or debates become logistically impossible in 45 minutes. The second one is limited facilities. Learner-centered methods need space for group work, materials for hands-on activities, internet access, projectors, lab equipment, etc. The problem is, if there's no space to rearrange desks, no copies for worksheets, or no internet for research, the activities fall flat. Result, teachers get stuck using talk and chalk, even when they want to do projects or inquiry. The approach looks good on paper, but cannot be implemented without basic resources. The third one is time management. Learner-centered lessons take longer because students explore, make mistakes, discuss, and reflect. The problem is curricula and exams are usually designed for content coverage, not deep exploration. One activity can eat 2 to 3 times. Result, teachers feel pressured to rush through the syllabus. They either cut the learner-centered part short or skip it entirely to finish the material before exams. Number 4 is different learner abilities. In a learner-centered class, students are expected to work at their own pace and level. The problem is, in one class, you will have students who cannot read the instructions, students who finish in 5 minutes, and everyone in between. Result, The teacher spends all time managing the extremes. Advanced students get bored, struggling students get lost, and the middle group gets minimal attention. Differentiation becomes very demanding without teaching assistants. And the last one is teachers need preparation and creativity. Learner-centered teaching is not open the book and read. You have to design tasks, anticipate misconceptions, prepare materials, and create questions that guide thinking. The problem is this takes 2 to 3 times more prep time than a lecture. It also requires creativity to make activities engaging and relevant. Result, teachers who are overloaded with admin, teaching multiple subjects, or lack training burn out quickly. Many fall back to teacher-centered methods because it's sustainable day to day. Okay, please next slide. Okay, next slide about the role of technology in the post-method era. The first one is technology supports. There are interactive learning, independent learning, online collaboration, and the last one is immediate feedback. For example, from the technology support is Kahoot, Canva, Wordwall, Quizzes, and Google Classroom. Okay, next slide, please. Comparison from the method era versus post-method era. Method era are one fixed method, teacher-centered, focus on theory, teacher follows method, and passive learners. And then for the post-method era is flexible strategies, learner-centered, focus on context, teacher adapts teaching, and the last one is active learners. Okay, next slide, please. The conclusion is no single method is perfect for all classrooms. The second one is the post-method era values flexibility and context. The third is learner-centered approaches make students active participants. And the last one, teachers should adapt teaching strategies. Okay, maybe that's my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Rahayu and Miss Twini Zulia for the explanation. Now we would like to open the Q&A session. If you have any question, please raise your hands. Ya, oke. Mr. Arif Purnama.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask, what are the similarities and differences between teacher concert and learner-centered approaches? Like that. Thank you.
Ya, oke. Thank you, Mr. Arif, for the question. And next, Mr. Tuhu Wiono, the second question.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to ask question. My question is that how can teachers balance curriculum demands and learner-centered practices? I repeat, how can teachers balance curriculum demands and learner-centered practices? Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tuhu, for the question. Next, Miss Hasana, please.
Thank you, the moderator, for the chance. My question is, do you think the post method era means that teaching methods are no longer necessary? Explain your argument. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Miss Hasana, for the question. Maybe this is the last for Miss Uni Handayani.
Okay, thank you, Miss Esther. I will give question. How does the post-method era challenge the effectiveness of methods such as the direct method, audiolingual method, or communicative language teaching?
Okay, thank you, Miss Uni Handayani. I think enough only for question for today. There are 4 questions. Maybe the first one from Mr. Arif will be answered by Miss Twinnie. Hello, Miss Twinnie.
Okay, Miss Esther. Thank you for the question, Mr. Arif. I will answer the question is what are the similarities and differences between teacher-centered and learner-centered approaches? It's clear, Mr. Arif?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I will answer. Teacher-centered and learner-centered approaches have both similarities and differences. Both approaches and differences aims to help students achieve learner objective and improve understanding. They also involve teachers, student, learning material, and assessment in the learning process. However, the difference in the classroom role, in a teacher-centered approach, the teacher is main source of knowledge, control classroom activities, and students are usually passive. In a learner-centered approach, students are more active in learning, such as through discussion and problem solving, while the teacher acts as a facilitator or guide. Therefore, teacher-centered focus on the teacher, while learner-centered focuses on student participation and independence. Maybe it's the answer from me. It's clear enough, Mr. Arif?
Yes, enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arif.
Okay, thank you, Miss Twinnie Zulia, for your answer. Next, the question number 2 from Mr. Tuhu Wiono. I will try answer Mr. Tuhu question. The question is, how can teachers balance curriculum demands and learner-centered practice? Okay, I will answer. A teacher can balance curriculum demands and learner-centered practice by combining curriculum goals with interactive learning activities. Teacher can still follow the required syllabus while using discussion, group work project, or problem-solving activity to keep students actively involved. Good lesson planning and time management also help teachers meet curriculum target while supporting students' needs, interest, and participation in the learner process. I think that answer from me. Is it clear enough, Mr. Tuhu Wiono?
Okay, thank you for the complete answer, Miss Esther.
Yeah, okay, you are welcome, Mr. Tuhu. Next from the question from Miss Hasana. The question from Miss Hasana will be answered by Miss Rahayu Erlina.
Okay, I will answer the question from the Miss Anna. My answer is no. The post-method era does not mean that teaching methods are no longer necessary. Teaching methods are still important because they provide guidance and useful techniques for classroom teaching. However, the post-method era suggests that teachers should not depend on only one method. Instead, teachers need to be flexible and choose or combine different methods based on students' needs, learning goals, and classroom situations. This helps make teaching more effective and suitable for different learners. Okay, it is clear and enough, Miss Anna.
Okay, Miss, that's clear. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Miss.
Okay, thank you, Miss Rahayu Erlina. Maybe the last question from Miss Uni can answer by Miss Rahayu.
Okay, yeah.
Miss Rahayu, please.
I will answer for the question from the Miss Uni Handayani. The post-method era challenged methods like the direct method, audiolingual method, and CLT because it believes that no single method works best for every classroom. Different students have different needs, learning styles, and learning environments. Therefore, teachers should be flexible and combine different teaching methods to match students' needs and classroom situation for more effective learning. Okay, that's my answer. Thank you. It's clear and enough, Miss
Enough, Miss. Thank
Handayani.
you for the answer.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Miss Uni, for the question and Miss Rahayu for the answer. I think enough from group 6. Thank you very much to Ma'am Nurjana MPD, and thank you very much for my friend for your attention and participation. We apologize for any mistake during our presentation. And then we sincerely hope that our lecturer, Ma'am Nurjana, can give us suggestion, correction, and additional insight so that we can improve our understanding and presentation in the future. Okay, I think enough. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Esther and friends. Okay, Bapak Ibu ya.
Welcome,
So,
ma'am.
we are talking about beyond approaches and the paradigm of post-method era. Nah, berarti kalau post-method era, ya artinya apa? Yang kita sekarang lakukan. Ya kan Bapak Ibu, sekarang Bapak Ibu, apa sih metode yang dilakukan? Apa Bapak Ibu? Ada? Yuk, apa Bapak Ibu?
Penggunaan teknologi.
Iya, ya. Banyak kan? Sekarang itu menggunakan apa? Yang tadi tuh yang sudah disebutkan apa? Pakai wood wall gitu ya. Jadi dilengkapi dengan teknologi. Ya karena memang sekarang apa sih disuggest oleh pemerintah kita apa? Teaching ya, teaching the student using TPAC. Ya Bapak Ibu ya. Pernah dengar kan kata-kata TPAC? Halo?
Ya, Miss.
Ya pernah dengar ya.
Yes,
Lalu, nah, Bapak Ibu yang apa tuh, yang Abdimas, ada kan ya semester ini yang mata kuliah apa ya, teknologi gitu?
ada.
Ya, itu Bapak Ibu pasti ya, pasti ke sekolah mengajarkan tentang teknologi, betul nggak tidak?
Iya, betul.
Ya,
Betul.
nah itu kan berarti apa di sini ya? Kita ada di mana di post method era. Nah, tadi ada yang di apa ya, ditanyakan oleh Pak Arif ya. Apa sih bedanya yang teaching? Ya, teaching learning and apa tadi tuh? Teaching learning and Apa tadi tuh?
Learners Center.
Learner Center ya.
Ya,
Ya. Teaching center gitu ya. Teaching center
Teacher centered
Teacher
and
Center
learner
and Learner
centered.
Center.
Iya.
Centered and learner centered.
Oh iya. Ya pasti kan beda ya. Tadi udah kan disampaikan ya sama ini para presenter. Ya berarti kalau teacher ya artinya apa? Di situ difokuskan kepada
Guru.
teachernya. Ya bagaimana sih teachernya itu mengelola kelas? Ya bagaimana sih teachernya itu mengelola apa? Metodenya, pendekatannya apa yang dilakukan. Jadi fokus kepada teacher. Tapi kalau learner center ya udah berarti apa? Ya fokus kepada studentnya. Ya bagaimana kebutuhan daripada student itu belajar. Ya bagaimana karakteristiknya, bagaimana student itu ingin menggunakan metode apa. Jadi kita harus mengetahui dari karakteristik dari studentnya. Ya. Nah, lalu Bapak Ibu, kalau misalnya sekarang itu kan menggunakan Kahoot, ada nggak? Pernah ya Bapak Ibu ya menggunakan Kahoot ya? Belum?
Nah, itu yang nanti akan saya
Nah,
sampaikan di Abdimas, Bu.
Oh ya,
Terima
oke
Ya,
Pak Tuhu ya, pasti akan apa ya, interested ya. Kemana? Ke gurunya apa ke siswanya?
ke gurunya,
ke guru.
ke
Ke
gurunya.
gurunya.
Guru
Oh,
berbagai mata pelajaran.
oh iya.
Kita fokus ke bahasa Inggris gitu.
Oh jadi semuanya ya? Iya betul.
Ya, betul.
Di daerah mana Pak Tuhu? Jakarta apa Depok atau
Di
Bogor?
Jakarta, di
Di Jakarta.
Jakarta, Kecamatan Pasar Minggu.
Oh iya, oke.
Ya,
Iya. Jadi memang apa ya sangat diperlukan sekali ya kalau misalnya berbasis teknologi seperti ini, Pak. Pasti siswa akan senang sekali. Apalagi sekarang kan dilengkapi dengan apa smart TV kan. Nah seperti itu.
betul.
Iya. Oke. Nah kalau Bapak Ibu sendiri mengajarnya bagaimana? Menggunakan apa? Esther ngajar apa Esther?
Iya, Mem, saya
Iya.
biasa menggunakan, kalau penjelasan itu saya menggunakan Canva. Lalu untuk kayak quiz, kayak tes-tes itu saya menggunakan Quizizz. Kalau sekarang namanya adalah Wayground. Jadi dua itu aja sih yang saya gunakan saat ini, Mem.
Bapak Ibu kita ini dulu ya. Mendengarkan kumandang azan sebentar ya Bapak Ibu.
Ya, ma'am.
Baik, Bapak Ibu, kita lanjut lagi. Jadi gimana, Esther? Selain menggunakan Canva?
Ya, jadi untuk penjelasan materi itu saya menggunakan Canva, lalu untuk latihan itu saya menggunakan Quizzes, ma'am. Sekarang namanya adalah Wayground. Jadi hanya 2 aplikasi itu saja yang saya gunakan selama proses mengajar. Seperti itu, ma'am.
Oke, itu juga udah bagus ya, karena kan kalau Canva itu apa sih? Biasanya menggunakan PPT ya, Canva ya.
Ya,
Iya.
betul.
Oke. Nah, kalau Quizzes itu kan ya di situ semacam seperti games ya. Seperti games, Quizzes.
Ya, betul, ma'am.
Nah, apa sih bedanya Canva AI dengan Canva yang biasa? Karena sekarang kan lagi ngetren adalah AI gitu ya. Nah, begitu pula dengan Canva AI. Apakah ada bedanya Canva AI dengan Canva yang dulu kita kenal? Pernah dengar tidak, Bapak Ibu?
Pernah dengar.
Iya, apakah beda? Karena pada saat yang tahun berapa yang baru-baru ya, yang baru-baru apa booming itu tahun 2023-an. Canva gitu ya. Mengajarkan dengan menggunakan Canva. Itu kan PPT. Sekarang tapi kok boomingnya itu Canva AI gitu. Apakah beda?
Sedikit beda, Bu Dokter.
Ya, gimana? Bedanya apa, Pak
Ya,
Arif?
jadi kebetulan saya kemarin dilibatkan sebagai tim pengembang konten IFP yang merah putih itu ya.
Mm-mm.
Kemudian saya langsung membawakan materi Canva AI, di
Mm-mm.
mana guru sangat dimudahkan. Selama ini IFP itu digunakan untuk pengganti layar, kemudian ditembakkan dari ke laptop ke IFP, kemudian buat tulis-tulis di IFP itu mubazir. Eh, Nah, sekarang guru dipermudah dengan adanya Canva AI yang ada di dalam papan IFP. Jadi guru nggak usah bawa apa-apa lagi, media bahan ajarnya langsung buka AI di papan IFP, dan buka Canva di papan IFP, kemudian klik AI, klik tombol AI yang ada di Canva, halaman depan Canva, kemudian masukkan promptnya, itu sudah langsung apapun yang kita inginkan akan segera diwujudkan oleh yang namanya Canva AI. Itu mempermudah. Kita bikin game bisa. Saya pernah ngisi materi di SLB Patriot untuk peningkatan kompetensi gurunya, Bu Dokter.
Oh
Nah,
ya, hebat nih,
kemudian
Pak Arif.
di Canva AI itu
Hmm.
ada yang namanya membuat musik. Kemudian itu testimoni dari guru-guru sana, "Oh, ini bagus untuk peserta didik yang tunanetra, sehingga dia menggunakan kemampuan pendengarannya melalui media bahan ajar yang digunakan atau diwujudkan dengan menggunakan Canva AI." Kira-kira seperti itu. Jadi sangat mempermudah guru dan anak-anak lebih tertarik mengikuti pembelajaran. Sehingga papan interaktif yang dapat bantuan dari Kemendikbudrismen itu benar-benar dimanfaatkan secara optimal, tidak hanya sebagai pengganti layar, penampakan layar, kemudian papan tulis, kemudian main tebak-tebakan, nggak hanya sebatas itu. Jadi kalau
Iya,
cuma dipakai buat main tebak-tebakan, mubazir juga, seperti itu, Bu Dokter.
betul.
Mahal-mahal gitu. Terima kasih, itu sih testimoni saya
Oke.
ketika saya menggunakan Canva AI.
Terima kasih Pak Arif ya atas penjelasannya. Jadi artinya beda ya. Berarti kalau Canva AI itu lebih apa ya? Lebih high tech lagi ya.
Iya, betul.
Aplikasi ya lebih high tech lagi. Nah, untuk Pak Arif sendiri nanti Abdi Masnya temanya tentang apa?
Iya, kebetulan saya mengambil tema itu, penggunaan papan interaktif untuk peningkatan kompetensi guru dalam pembelajaran yang diferensiasi, yang menarik dan menyenangkan untuk siswa. Nah, salah satu yang akan kita bawakan adalah Canva AI itu. Seperti
Bisa
itu.
juga ya membuat apa ya membuat modul ajar dengan Canva AI.
Bisa, bisa, bisa.
Bisa juga. Jadi di sini memang sangat memudahkan guru sekali ya.
Sangat
Kalau misalnya
memudahkan.
iya mata kuliah misalnya apa English. Nah di situ cepet kan untuk membuat soal-soal ya. Dan juga kalau misalnya berbagai macam gambar-gambar ada dari situ ya. Jadi lebih
Iya,
menarik.
betul.
Betul. Oke, makasih Pak Arif. Silakan
Sama-sama, Bu Dokter.
teman-teman. Ada yang mau berbagi lagi? Halo. Tidak ada. Siapa yang ingin berbagi cerita tentang pengalaman mengajarnya? Ini pada ini kali ya teman-teman long weekend ya? Kok kayaknya sedikit deh.
Yang tidak hadir 2 sepertinya.
Oh, 2.
Ya,
Oh, 2. Oh, berarti emang kelasnya 20 ya?
hanya 19.
19. Oh iya. Nah, saya kira long weekend.
Oh, enggak.
Iya, baik ya. Saya kira cukup ya. Kalau
Eh,
cukup, apa tuh?
ini mau menanyakan yang untuk UTS itu,
Oh iya,
kisi-kisinya mungkin bisa disampaikan
kisi-kisinya.
gitu.
Oke,
Iya.
baik. Ya, ini dulu ya, give applause dulu ya untuk grup ini. Ada Esther, ada Rahayu. Siapa lagi tadi? Satu lagi, sebentar.
Winnie, Miss.
Iya, ya, Twini, Zulia. Oke, good. Oke, nah gimana nih kisi-kisi UTS-nya? Nah, kalau UTS ini ya nanti adalah open book. Ya, open book lalu apa ya? Bapak Ibu kan pastinya kalau menjawab itu ya disarankan memakai referensi ya atau kutipan dari siapa nih? Gitu untuk memperkuat jawaban Bapak Ibu. Ya, kalau misalnya mau menggunakan AI silakan, tetapi apa harus beretika dan tanggung jawab. Ya, bertanggung jawab dan beretika dalam penggunaan AI. Nah, ya, ini kisi-kisinya. Oke. Ya, tentang apa sih yang kita sudah pelajari aja Bapak Ibu? Ya, ada apa aja metodenya silakan yuk. Yang kita sudah pelajari apa metodenya Bapak Ibu? Halo.
Mendadak
Direct
lupa.
method,
Iya, apa? Direct
direct
method.
method,
Ya, apalagi?
translation itu ya.
Ya,
Ya,
tadi itu ya.
CL.
CLT.
GBI,
LT,
Ya,
NTBI.
ya. Oke ya. Jadi di situ ada CLT, ya,
CLT,
TBL.
CLT, CL,
Ya,
LT.
Yang
ya.
sudah dibahas ya, Mim.
Iya, yang sudah kita bahas. Nah, contohnya seperti ini ya. Ini ada kasus. Nah, contohnya seperti ini. Nanti kalau misalnya tidak jelas, saya ini ya, tuliskan aja di WA ya. Ini hanya itu aja.
Oke, Mem.
Jelaskan secara orally dulu ya. Misalkan gini Bapak Ibu. Ya, ini sebuah kasus. Kalau misalnya fase D itu kelas berapa Bapak Ibu?
D itu SMP kalau nggak salah ya.
Apa?
SMP,
Ya,
fase D itu
SMP.
SMP.
Betul. Betul. Ya. Kalau fase D itu SMP. Nah, kira-kira kalau SMP itu mereka readingnya mempelajari apa sih?
Kalau genrenya itu
Hmm.
satu deskriptif,
Ya.
sebuah procedure,
Hmm.
kemudian satu lagi itu recount kalau nggak salah, 3 itu.
Iya. Oke. Ya, berarti apa? Ya, contohnya adalah naratif. Kalau
Ya,
naratif
naratif
itu
ya.
apa? Recount ya?
Beda, recount dengan naratif berbeda.
Beda.
Ya,
Beda.
hampir sama untuk strukturnya hampir sama, tapi tujuannya berbeda.
Iya. Oke. Kalau recount itu kan yang ke masa lalu ya?
Ya,
Sama-sama
experience,
tensi.
personal experience,
Iya.
lebih menceritakan kembali cerita
Iya.
yang sudah berlalu.
Iya. Oke. Nah, jadi gini, Bapak Ibu. Ya, di sini menceritakan kasusnya kan ada ya kalau naratif teks itu kan genre structure-nya ada orientation,
Ya,
complication, sama apa lagi?
reorientation,
Ya, ada lagi tuh, Pak.
resolution,
Resolution.
Nah, itu
resolution.
resolution ya. Ini baru itu ya, baru case aja kan. Nah, kalau misalnya mereka itu kan studentnya itu kan apa menganalisis strukturnya itu ya mereka tuh bergabung ya. Apa sih namanya tuh per grup lah, per grup. Ya, per grup. Nah, di sini ya Bapak Ibu mengidentifikasi nih, ya mengidentifikasi dari naratif teks itu kira-kira kemana sih metodenya itu? Apa yuk Bapak Ibu? Kan tadi ada apa sih namanya? Ada Tadi Pak Tuhu ya yang nyebutkan ya. Ada recontext, narrative, procedure. Itu disebutnya apa?
General.
Nah, ya. Jadi Bapak Ibu harus menjelaskan apakah itu termasuk dari GBA, apakah TBI, apakah CLT atau CTL.
TBI.
Ya. Kalau misalnya iya semuanya ya berarti harus menjelaskan. Ya. Seperti itu contohnya. Nah, lalu kalau misalnya tadi ya kasusnya itu kan naratif teks. Nah, Bapak Ibu harus menjelaskan karakteristik dari pendekatan itu apa. Kalau misalnya tadi Bapak Ibu kan bilangnya apa? Misalnya tadi ya GBA gitu ya. Nah, karakteristik dari GBA-nya itu apa? Lalu evidence from the case. Jadi bukti dari contohnya itu apa? Kok bisa disebutkan GBA? Gitu Bapak Ibu. Ya. Lalu Bapak Ibu menjelaskan pula keselarasan dengan kurikulum kita. Ya, kurikulum pencapaian pembelajaran apa? Kurikulum Merdeka itu seperti apa? Ya. Oke. Itu ya Bapak Ibu ya. Contohnya. Lalu di sini sebentar. Nah, ini ya tentang apa? Force method. Nah, Bapak Ibu kalau misalnya berbagai macam metode disebutnya apa sih? Selain mix method.
Multi method.
Bukan, apa?
Bukan.
Ya. Eclectic method. Ya, eclectician. Nah, di situ ya kita mempelajari tentang apa? Force method dan eclecticism. Nah, di situ ya Bapak Ibu ya kasusnya itu adalah ada mixed method, ada large class size, limited time, ya curriculum demands yang tadi kita pelajari ya, expectation for communicative competence. Nah, itu kasusnya. Nah, Bapak Ibu nanti tugasnya apa? Ya menjelaskan dari konsep tersebut, ya konsep daripada post method pedagogi. Lalu tujuannya apa? Gitu. Kemudian Bapak Ibu harus apa? Mendeskripsikan ya bagaimana dengan student needs-nya, keperluan anak-anaknya bagaimana. Ya lalu classroom realities-nya seperti apa? Lalu harapan dari kurikulum Merdeka itu seperti apa? Gitu Bapak Ibu. Pasti masih bingung ya? Ya udah nanti saya ini ya, tuliskan aja Bapak Ibu. Halo, kok nggak ada suara-suaranya ini? Pak Tuhu hanya
Oke, Ma'am.
ya.
Ya, Bu.
Ngangguk-ngangguk saja, Bu.
Ya udah, pasti bingung deh ya. Pasti
Lagi
bingung.
maaf pertanyaannya.
Jadi di situ ada gini ya. Di situ ada kasusnya apa? Kan contohnya tadi kan ada beberapa kasus ya. Saya hanya menjelaskan tadi kasus yang naratif teks gitu kan. Nah, tadi Bapak Ibu harus mengidentifikasi dia itu termasuk apa kalau naratif teks itu. Gitu. Kalau misalnya tadi Ibu bilang misalnya CLT ya. CLT ya harus jelaskan ya karakteristik dari CLT-nya apa berdasarkan kasus tersebut. Ya, lalu evidence ya. Bukti dia itu termasuk CLT yang mana? Gitu. Lalu bagaimana ya keselarasan antara kurikulum kurikulum merdekanya seperti apa? Gitu Bapak Ibu. Jadi ada beberapa kasus lalu kita identifikasi berdasarkan metode-metode yang kita sudah pelajari. Itu ya Bapak Ibu ya. Oke, nanti ini ya saya tuliskan aja supaya jelas. Baik, Bapak Ibu, saya kira cukup ya pertemuan kali ini ya. Atau ada pertanyaan lagi Bapak Ibu?
Ada Mem satu lagi boleh?
Boleh ya, Bu Asana.
Nanti untuk ujiannya, apakah boleh diketik tulisannya, jawabannya?
Iya, diketik saja.
Oh,
diketik
baik.
tadi
Alhamdulillah.
ini ya, harus berdasarkan apa ya, referensi gitu.
Oh, baik. Thank you,
Ya,
ma'am.
Ada
Bu,
kutipannya.
Bu,
ya diketik
Bu
saja.
Nurjana,
Ya,
Bu
Pak.
Nurjana. Kalau misalkan petunjuknya nanti disuruh tulis tangan, apakah kita tetap ketik? Ini penegasan saja sih. Kalau bisa diketik ya alhamdulillah. Cuman kan biasanya tadi disampaikan lihat petunjuknya begitu doang sih Bu.
Oh iya, ya,
Iya.
sebentar. Petunjuknya. Cari ya Bapak Ibu ya. Ini aja, diketik aja Bapak Ibu.
Baik, makasih.
Alhamdulillah.
Terima
Alhamdulillah.
kasih,
Terima kasih.
Bu.
Mm. Iya, diketik aja.
Bu,
Ya
mau
nanti,
tanya
nanti dokumennya berupa Word atau PDF ya Bapak Ibu.
PDF.
PDF ya.
Ya, apa?
Bu,
Silakan.
masalah lesson plan itu
Hmm.
bahasa Inggris apa bahasa Indonesia ya, Pak? Bisa mix atau gimana?
Lesson plan maksudnya gimana?
Kan ada tugas bikin lesson plan beserta
Oh,
dokumentasinya gitu ya.
ya.
Itu harus Inggris apa bahasa Indonesia boleh?
Boleh. Apa aja, nggak apa-apa. Iya.
Oke.
Iya.
Oke, terima kasih, Mom.
Kalau misalnya pakai bahasa Inggris malah lebih bagus kan, karena kan sesuai dengan apa? Mata pelajaran kan, gitu. Kalau misalnya pakai bahasa Indonesia silakan nggak apa-apa.
Oke, Bu, terima kasih.
Iya, sama-sama. Ya, Pak, apa nih? Ati Fatur?
Iya. Ibu,
Oh iya,
untuk
iya.
untuk yang UTS nanti kita pakai bahasa Indonesia atau pakai bahasa Inggris?
Yang UTS.
Ya, untuk jawabannya.
Oke, boleh deh. Boleh bahasa Indonesia. Kalau misalnya pakai bahasa Inggris ya lebih bagus lagi gitu.
Oke, jadi dibebaskan ya, Ibu.
Iya,
Oke,
dibebaskan.
terima kasih.
Lebih enaknya di mana lah gitu deh. Ya, silakan. Apalagi Bapak Ibu. Oke, ya untuk lesson plan boleh pakai bahasa Indonesia, boleh pakai bahasa Inggris. Ya, harus dikumpulkan ya Bapak Ibu ya. Ada lagi Bapak Ibu? Tidak ada?
Cukup saya.
Cukup ya? Kok kayaknya lemes banget sih?
Lemes.
Ngantuk Bu Dokter.
Mantu. Iya, sisa-sisa nih.
Padahal seru
Iya,
nih mata
betul.
kuliahnya.
Dari jam 7 udah
Oh
di
ya,
depan
ya,
komputer.
ya udah baik. Oke ya, saya mengerti ya Bapak Ibu. Baik, sekarang istirahat aja deh. Baik, saya akhiri ya Bapak Ibu ya. Ya saya akhiri. Thank you for joining my class. See you ya. See you after mid test. So I say assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Terima kasih
wabarakatuh.
Bu
Thank
Dokter.
you.
Wabarakatuh.
Iya.
Sehat selalu Bu
Jangan
Dokter.